Somewhere today in the United States, while you were stuck in traffic this morning, there were literally people flying over you in cars that they actually own. I'm not talking about the distant future, I mean actually today. Welcome back to Arnie's Brain Train, where we turn your wildest, but why can't I have a flying car, dreams into today's reality. I'm Alex Arnold, and when I discovered this topic, I knew I had to do some research. And after some research, I quickly discovered that I had to do a video. So, today we're going to dive into the flying cars that you can legitimately purchase right now in 2025. Not concept art, not empty promises, but real machines with real price tags that real people are actually flying home from work. All of my sources are linked in the description below, so you can verify all of the wild claims I'm about to make. And trust me, you're going to want to fact check some of this stuff because it definitely sounds too crazy to be true. Alright everybody, when I say flying car, I'm not talking about the Jetson-style hover vehicles magically zipping through downtown Manhattan. The flying cars available today are more like small aircraft that can also drive on roads, or what the aviation industry calls roadable aircraft. But here's the super cool part. They actually exist, they actually work, and you can actually buy them right now if you've got the cash and the proper licenses. According to a 2024 report from Morgan Stanley, the investment bank that doesn't mess around with fantasy numbers, the flying car market is projected to hit $1 trillion by 2040. So we're watching the birth of a new gadget literally turn into the dawn of personal aviation. But here's a reality check that'll bring you back down. This isn't just some Honda Civic that somebody slapped wings onto, but we're talking about price tags that start around $400,000 and skyrocket from there. Basically the cost of a really nice house, except this house can fly at 200 miles per hour. Plus, you'll need a sport pilot license at minimum, and in most cases, a full private pilot license, which takes months of training and costs around $15,000 to obtain. But hey, if you've got the budget for a small mansion, why not get a flying car? Let's start our tour with the absolute granddaddy of modern flying cars, the Terrafugia Transition, which has literally been the poster child for someday we'll have flying cars for nearly 2 decades. This beauty has been in development since 2006, and after almost 20 years of testing, refinement, regulatory nightmares, and probably a few nervous breakdowns from engineers, you can finally order one today and actually receive it. Here's what makes the Transition absolutely special and why it's grabbed headlines worldwide. It's literally a plane that folds its wings and drives like a car, then unfolds them and flies like a plane. So, a 2-seat aircraft with a 23-foot wingspan that can cruise at 100 miles per hour in the air and drive at highway speeds on the ground. The transformation between flight and drive modes takes less than a minute. Just push a button and watch those wings fold up like the most expensive piece of mechanical origami you've ever seen. However, it's got a price tag that'll make your wallet weep. A cool $500,000 to $600,000 depending on the options you choose. For that money, you get a 100 horsepower Rotax engine, a range of about 400 miles in the air, fuel efficiency that beats most SUVs, and the ultimate conversion starter at literally any airport or parking lot on Earth. Terrafugia has already delivered their first customer vehicles to actual paying customers, making this officially the first certified flying car that you can buy and legally operate in the United States. The biggest downside to all of this is that you'll need both a driver's license and a sport pilot license minimum. Plus, despite what sci-fi movies promised us, you can't just take off from any road. You still need to use approved airports for the flying portion. So, while it's incredibly cool and definitely functional, it's not quite the door-to-door aerial taxi that we've been dreaming about since watching Back to the Future. Next up on our world tour is something that looks like it drove straight out of a Mad Max movie, decided it wanted to fly, and somehow grew rotor blades. Meet the PAL V Liberty from the Netherlands. This isn't a typical fixed-wing aircraft. It's a gyrocopter that drives, and honestly, it's absolutely wild to watch this thing in action, on both road and sky. The PAL V Liberty is a three-wheeler that transforms into a gyrocopter. Think helicopter meets motorcycle meets aircraft, but in like the most Dutch engineering way possible. On the ground, it drives like a tilting three-wheeler that can corner like it's on rails and hit speeds up to 100 miles per hour. In the air, it uses a large rotor on top for lift and a smaller propeller in the back for thrust, and can reach airspeeds of 112 miles per hour with a range of 310 miles. According to PAL V's latest data straight from their official website, the Pioneer Edition will cost you about $600,000, while the Sport version comes in around $400,000. So basically the price range where you're choosing between a flying car and a really nice house. They've been taking pre-orders since 2020 and claim to be ready for actual deliveries in 2025, making this potentially the second flying car you can actually get your hands on this year. The transformation time is about 10 minutes to switch between driving and flying modes, which involves unfolding the rotor blades, performing pre-flight checks, and basically turning your three-wheeled road vehicle into a proper aircraft. Like the Terrafugia, you still need a pilot's license, specifically a gyrocopter rating, and you can only take off and land at approved facilities. But man, the looks you'll get driving this thing to the airport are absolutely priceless. Now, if you want to see what happens when someone says, "Hold my beer," to the entire flying car industry, then feast your eyes on the Klein AirCar from Slovakia. This machine looks like someone took a BMW sports car and a sleek airplane, threw them in some kind of an engineering magic blender, and somehow created something that works more beautifully than anyone expected. The AirCar made international headlines in 2021 when it completed a 35-minute test flight between two Slovak airports, landed safely, then literally folded up its wings and drove home through the city streets like it was the most normal thing in the world. This thing looks like a BMW that all of a sudden extends its wings and transforms into an actual aircraft in about 3 minutes using hydraulic systems that look like they belong on a transformer. Performance-wise, this thing is a beast and genuinely impressive. It makes everything else on the market look slow. 170 miles per hour in the air, powered by a BMW engine that sounds absolutely incredible, with a range of 600 miles per flight. On the ground, it drives like an actual sports car, with real handling and acceleration, which honestly makes it the coolest looking and best performing option on our entire list today. Here's the tricky part for anyone actually considering buying one though. Klein hasn't announced an official price yet because they're still in the final certification phases. But industry experts and aviation analysts estimate it'll land somewhere in the $1 to $2 million range when it hits the market. The company received official airworthiness certification in 2022, making it legally flyable in European airspace, and they're working through the final steps for commercial production. While you can't quite place an order today, Klein is accepting serious inquiries from potential buyers with real money, making it the closest thing to a real flying car experience we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and talk about the dark horse of the flying car world that nobody saw coming. The Samson Switchblade from Oregon. This three-wheeled beast looks like it rolled straight off the set of a superhero movie, and driving one might actually make you feel like you've got legitimate superpowers. The Switchblade is unique in our lineup because it's designed as a kit aircraft, which means you can actually build it yourself if you're mechanically inclined and have way too much time on your hands. Though they also offer fully assembled versions for people who want to skip the "oops, where does this bolt go" phase. This baby features swing-out wings that deploy in under 3 minutes, transforming from a street-legal motorcycle into an actual airplane that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie. The performance numbers are pretty solid and competitive. 200 miles per hour in the air makes it the fastest on our list. 125 miles per hour on the ground, which beats most highway traffic. with 450-mile range that'll get you across multiple states. The absolute best part that makes this accessible to more people is that the base kit starts at around $170,000, making it by far the most affordable option on our list today. Still expensive, but it's more like a really nice sports car expensive rather than a small mansion expensive. According to Samson Sky's latest updates from their development team, they're in the final testing phases and expect to begin actual deliveries to customers in late 2025, making this potentially available this year. Now, even if you're not planning on dropping six figures on a flying car tomorrow, we're witnessing the birth of an entirely new transportation category that could change how we think about commuting, travel, and personal mobility. Understanding these early pioneers helps you grasp where personal transportation is heading, and honestly, it's pretty exciting to be alive during this transition from science fiction to reality that our grandkids will probably take for granted. Before we wrap up our showcase, let's take a look at what owning one of these incredible vehicles actually means in 2025. Because the sticker price is just the beginning of this expensive adventure. First, the amazing news. Every single vehicle we've discussed today is either available for purchase or accepting pre-orders right now. This isn't vaporware or empty promises, but these are actual companies with real factories delivering real products to real customers if you have real money. But speaking of money, you're going to be looking at ongoing costs that go way beyond that initial purchase price. Insurance for experimental aircraft, maintenance by certified mechanics, hangar fees at the airports, and ongoing training requirements can easily add $50,000 or more per year to your flying car budget. Plus, current FAA regulations means you're still tied to airports for takeoffs and landings. So this isn't exactly a fly from your driveway to the grocery store future that we all imagined. But what's really cool is that this is just the early adopter phase of what could become mainstream transportation within our lifetimes. Just like computers went from room-sized monsters that only universities could afford to smartphones in every pocket, flying cars are starting their journey from million-dollar prototypes to, well, we'll see where they end up, but the trajectory is incredibly exciting. So there it is. Flying cars aren't coming someday in the distant future, but they're actually here today in 2025. We've explored the Terrafugia transition, actually delivering vehicles to customers, the PAL V Liberty taking pre-orders for delivery this year, Klein Vision's AirCar pushing the boundaries of what's possible with that incredible transformation, and Samson Switchblade making flying cars accessible to more budgets than ever before. Each of these companies represents a completely different engineering approach to solving the same dream that humans have had for over a century: personal flight combined with road travel. Whether it's fold-out wings, gyrocopter rotors, hydraulic transformations, or swing-out wing systems, brilliant engineers have finally cracked the code on making vehicles that legitimately fly and drive. That's a wrap on today's journey through the wild world of actually available flying cars. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and subscribe to Arnie's Brain Train for more mind-blowing adventures through science, history, and everything that makes you go, but why? Please drop a comment below. Which flying car would you choose if money wasn't an object? And what's your dream destination for a first flight? Maybe flying to work? A weekend trip to the mountains? Let me know. And remember, all the sources and links for today's episode are in the description, so you can dive deeper into any of these incredible machines and maybe start planning your own flying car purchase. We have new episodes coming out every single week with questions that'll blow your mind and make you question everything you thought you knew. So hit that notification bell and join our curiosity crew. Until then, keep your brain on the tracks and your dreams in the sky. This is Alex Arnold saying, all aboard the next adventure. Life's not always this simple, but it's always this interesting. See you next time.